Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you especially to patrons and channel members. And also thank you so much to my guests who have joined me. Right now we have Mage, Kitty, Jenny, and Claire, and Purple is supposed to be coming. So I'm expecting Purple to come and join us at any moment. I wanted to just for Valentine's Day share a little love with my friends. So I've got my closest friends here, and we're all just gonna talk and chat and have a good time and hang out and talk about whatever people in the chat want to talk about as well. So without further ado, I'm going to let everyone have a chance to introduce themselves, tell us a little bit about what they're up to right now, and then we'll just have basically open mic night. So Mage, we'll let you go first.
Oh, start with me, huh? I haven't really been doing all that much. I've been, like I mentioned backstage, I've been playing around with the writing AI. I've been doing my gardening. Have a few videos I've got planned, which I had to put on hold because of all the wind we had the past few days. Yeah, Kitty knows about it.
Okay. Kitty, what have you been up to?
Well, I'm finally feeling in better health after, having gone through that whole kidney issue. And I've been doing some writing actually. Like I mentioned earlier, like I haven't written in 15 plus years, but I got struck by inspiration and I am at 38,925 words on this story, and I am still in the early part of it. I guess I'm writing a whole ass novel, I guess.
Cool. Can't wait to read it.
What's the story about?
Wow.
Well, technically, it would count as a fan fiction because it's my original character that exists in a made world. But it's the character is kind of like a vampire, and she is a badass assassin, and I'm having a blast with it.
Yeah, I like doing fan fictions as a kind of a writing practice. Okay.
Jenny, what have you been up to?
Mostly nothing. I've been perfecting my sleeping techniques.
Cool. That's always important.
I'm getting quite good for mid-afternoon naps.
Okay.
And also improving my piloting skills on the television. I pretty much got the whole remote thing memorized now.
Okay.
And it makes me feel good. Very powerful.
Good.
Ask me anything, folks.
Well, I see that you are Jenny cold and wet. Is it pretty cold where you are right now?
Yeah, it's like 40 something degrees, but
oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's just the wind is coming in from the east, and so that means it's blowing directly into my bedroom because the windows leak and stuff.
That's too bad.
Yeah, and it's raining. It's been raining all day. It's supposed to continue tonight, but hey, that's okay. I'm alive.
Yep. Always good to have you alive. Claire, I know what you've been up to because it's pretty obvious. You're following the Murdaugh trial and you're streaming it live all day, every day.
Yes.
So how are you doing?
I'm doing surprisingly well for the hours, and I do appreciate you come over there and help cheer me up and keep me on point with the legal stuff. It's been great actually. These are hard, but I don't regret them when I do them because the people in the chat seem to get so much out of it, having a place to talk about it. I got a small group of people that just love to talk murder on a regular basis. And I think I'm actually contributing to their health, their mental health and status that give them a safe place to do it without getting into any trouble. So, yeah.
Well, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I sometimes have thoughts that cannot be expressed, and it's always fun to have an outlet for things like that.
Yeah, it is. Because I do the true crime anyway once a week, a bunch of different trials. I like, I've talked to you about this before. I just like to read legal documents. I'm fascinated with it. I'm not involved professionally in any capacity. It's like a hobby, but it just intrigues me. And I'm always trying to find a hook as to what makes a case like interesting for other people to get involved in. And it seems to be pretty popular. I just found a whole troop of people that like it.
Mhm. Yeah,
the
you
big one,
did.
yeah, the big one I got into was the Sophie Long case.
Yeah, yeah, that was quite an emotional case,
Yeah,
and that was pretty hard on YouTube in general in the way it was covered, and
yeah,
how people got so. You see, I'm just sitting there looking at it from the outside, but people actually got involved with that, like
mm,
seriously involved. YouTubers were like with the families, connecting with them, getting involved. It was wild. That was a wild one. Emotional because it was a child too, like so heart
yeah,
wrenching.
yeah.
Purple, how are you doing?
I am doing okay, but we are having intermittent power failures here. It's happened 3 times
Oh,
in the last 2 hours.
that's too bad.
Yeah, so right when you were supposed to be going live, I was still waiting for the computer to reboot. So if I
Yeah.
drop out randomly, you know what happened.
That's okay. I totally get it. I often have internet issues and I've dropped out of my own streams a number of times.
Yep.
Okay. Now we have introductions out of the way. What is anyone doing special for Valentine's Day or not so special?
Does sleeping count? just like I'm, I'm sleeping. Yeah. I have no
Okay.
plans. No
on
plans.
this
I'm
rough
one of
trial.
those.
I think he did it.
Yeah.
99% of my Valentine's Day have been spent alone, even when I had a girlfriend.
hmm
Mm.
I'm anti Valentine's Day anyway.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And not, but not because of the general feeling of it. I think that's great. I think you should celebrate your connections on any level.
Mm-hmm.
Partner, friend, like you're doing here with us. Connections of any level. But I think it's an any day kind of thing. And
Mm-hmm.
I always tell this one story that kind of turned me around. I've always been told I was kind of cold with my partners because I'm like, I don't want you stinking candy and flowers on Valentine's Day. Like if I ain't getting them all year round, stuff it, dude. Like I'm serious. That's kind of my attitude. And I've been, kind of put in a box because of it. But I don't, it's just the way I am. My grandson though, he calls it Love Everybody Day. It's his favorite holiday out of the whole year because he
Mm-hmm.
says he doesn't have to discriminate. He gets to give a heart and a kiss and a hug to anybody and everybody. And I thought that was like really cool. It kind of changed my mind about it a little bit. Now I call it like Love Everybody Day, but I still won't commit to a Hallmark holiday, no matter what anybody tells me to do. I just can't. I just can't. But it's kind of cute. Yeah.
I send Blue Mountain cards. They're e-cards.
Oh yeah.
So I don't have to go anywhere to buy them. I don't have to, they don't create any physical waste that you have to take care of.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yay.
some of them are really, really funny.
Yeah,
Honestly-
I've sent some from the Blue Mountain site myself. They've got some good ones in there. And they do have selections of, non-religious things even for around Christmas.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The ones that I love sending my grandkids, the ones where it reads it you usually get a choice of about 4 different voices, but you can type in their names and it will read their names into the greeting. And I know they get a kick out of that. So I would send those to them.
That's adorable. You see, you're using it as a wonderful way to connect with people on all different levels, not just as a romantic holiday that makes some people feel ostracized, like one-on-one coupledom, like a connection, which I totally support. In that case, I'm not anti-Valentine's Day. The way you do it, the way you do it is great.
I sent one to my brother that has this dog singing, I feel like making fudge. Instead of I feel like making love, I feel like making fudge for you.
That's pretty funny.
I would appreciate that. That's cool.
Honestly, it's kind of similar here. Like I just got my Valentine's meal. Chris made us chicken and dumplings tonight because it's one of my favorite things. So a special meal, but it's one of those I don't think in the 12 years that Michael and I have been together that he's ever once gotten me flowers. And it's because he doesn't believe in like doing stuff just because it's a special occasion. He does things year round. And he asked if I, wanted flowers. And I was like, it's fine. I don't really care either way. And he made the decision, since I didn't feel strongly about it, that instead he would get me things that I could get more use out of. So like a new video game instead of flowers. And it's like, well, I have the video game that I can play and replay, or flowers that I can look at for a week before having to throw them out, So he'll just do things like that. He'll get me a new game, or he'll get me like new fabrics and stuff like that. Just things that he knows that I will get enjoyment out of, and that aren't just gonna waste away. He does treat me to chocolates though, because he knows I love chocolates. And so he got me some Rocher for Valentine's Day today. So there is that.
Well, I was going to take Soft Girl out for dinner tonight, except I woke up not feeling really well because this is her favorite holiday. Forget about Valentine's Day. It's Taco Tuesday.
Oh, yes. Now we're talking. Sorry.
Not tacos in a while.
What kind of tacos, Purple?
Well, she does like, good Mexican. I mean, we have Taco Bell, but that's not really Mexican. So there is a Mexican restaurant here that we haven't had a chance to try yet.
We have an Epic Tacos here that is really good. They have some of the most unusual combinations in their tacos.
I am all about steak tacos. Really, steak anything. Like I love steak tacos so much.
I like chicken tacos, and I'm gonna have to make some now.
Yeah.
On Monday I had just taken a whole bag of the skinless chicken breast and cooked them all up in the slow cooker, because then I've just got them on hand and we can throw them into all sorts of things. So I should make tacos out of some of them.
That's always a good thing to do with them. I like them simple. I don't know, like Kitty, I like steak. Just real simple with a little bit of onion, a little bit of cilantro, and give me that salsa verde, and I'm happy. The little tiny soft corn tortilla, like street tacos. That's what we get here. A little bit of
street
fresh.
tacos are good.
Yeah. No. Well, yeah, I have to admit I eat a little too many of them, like almost every Tuesday. Almost every Tuesday I'm having tacos. Like I look forward to it. Well,
So you have Taco Tuesday at your house too?
Yes, I'm fortunate enough that we can get it very easily where I live as an instant takeout. So it's one of my takeaway meals. And very authentic. Even the cactus paddles, pickled or not, as a side dish, anything you'd like that. It's pretty cool. So.
Maybe I should get one of those taco kits. I can and use some of the lettuce I'm growing in my backyard with it.
Honestly, tacos are a great meal. They are quick to come together. They are filling and delicious, and there's variety. Like you can make so many different kinds of tacos. If you've got like picky eaters, in the house, that helps too, because you can make them differently without having to do a lot of extra prep work. So like taco nights are definitely awesome, and everybody should indulge.
Yeah, I remember a taco night with my friend, and what they would do is they'd have all the fixings for it. And you basically put together your own taco with whatever they had laid out.
Yeah, that's the way I always did when we had kids. It was just easier to do it like a taco bar, and everybody puts in what they want.
Every day at our house, we play the question of the day, which is a feature that you can get on Alexa. And today's question of the day had to do with Valentine's Day. It was quite interesting. It was the question was, in what country did a mistranslation result in Valentine's Day being celebrated as on two separate days for different things? And your choices were Brazil, Argentina, Japan, or the Philippines.
Japan.
Yeah, you're right. It was Japan. Do you know what the tradition is there?
I do, but
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
So in Japan, they have Valentine's Day, which is where basically girls will make like homemade sweets to give to like the people that they care about, like people in their lives, like teachers or significant others, et cetera, et cetera. And then in March, they have White Day, which is basically the day of reciprocation, where a gift would be gotten for anyone that gave you Valentine's chocolates.
The way it was explained to us was just slightly differently, was that it was originally translated that Valentine's Day meant women are obligated to give chocolate to men. And then, the White Day was the reciprocation for the men to do something, to give some kind of sweets to the women.
Yeah, Japan has really a bad track record of translating Western holidays.
I mean, fried chicken for Christmas.
Right.
Well, that was a clever marketing campaign by KFC when they expanded down there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it became just, so into the culture now that everybody regards it as the traditional meal there.
Thor Rasmussen says, never been high on all this days. I think he means all these days. Most of them only hit Denmark in the latest years. My goal is to be the best that I can every day, all day. And that is a fantastic goal.
Exactly. I always question that, like these kind of holidays, especially in like interpersonal relationships in couples, doesn't it kind of like set you up for, especially in the beginning of relationships, for some unrealistic expectations, so to speak?
Well, it does.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, even more of a problem is that early in the relationship, people try so hard for these things, and it's like it's at a level that they're not going to be able to sustain. So then, like 3 to 6 months into the relationship, there's kind of a level of disappointment that you can't sustain that level.
Godless Scummer says 2 Valentines a year is my definition of hell.
I mean, to be fair, it's one for the girls and one for the guys. Like,
yeah, that doesn't sound bad.
Gendered. So it basically, being a male, you would be getting gifts on Valentine's Day and then would be giving gifts on White Day. So it's not the same as 2 Valentine's Days.
Well, we'll just give you the Groundhog's Day time loop on Valentine's Day.
Oh, that would be horrible. Like Happy Death Day Valentine's edition.
Yeah.
Aunt Jer says, as far as I'm concerned, today is my mom's birthday and Memorial Day.
Well, happy birthday, Mom.
Memorial Day?
Possibly the anniversary of her mom's death. The anniversary of my mom's death is in let's see, 3 more days.
It always sucks when you lose a loved one near a holiday that other people celebrate. It makes it kind of rough. I know Christmas is a rough time for my family because we've lost 4 family members in the 2-week span between my birthday and New Year's. So it's a rough time of year. And like other people have their issues around that time of the year too. I mean, everybody gets depressed around the holidays, but it's worse when, you're trying to be festive, but you're also kind of bummed and, you don't want to be that person that's bringing everybody down on the holidays,
Exactly. That's hard. The expectations of any holidays that way is that we have to celebrate it a certain way. We've got to like go with the flow, and some people just don't feel it, and that pressure alone can just really be detrimental to how we're relating to other people around us and our mental health, for ourselves in general. I don't appreciate the holidays for that, and I've got a huge family, and as I get older, I find it is a very stressful time, and that's why you'll find me out here on YouTube participating with Purple, because I actually find a lot more joy in that than in some of the things that come along with the societal pressures of the holiday itself that I just
Well, I
can't.
go
I
along with
just
what you were
can't.
saying earlier that, I really don't like any of the manufactured holidays.
Mm-hmm.
And
right.
that's the only holiday I really put anything into observing is Yule.
All
Because that's the only one that
all
isn't
holidays,
man-made. That's actually just an observance of the changing of the seasons and the
all holidays
angle of the
are
planet.
made up.
Halloween.
All holidays are made
Oh,
up.
Halloween. Best
I go
holiday
all out
ever.
Halloween. It's,
Yes,
it's the
me too.
best.
Yeah, Kitty, I got married prior on Halloween. Yes, that's how much I love Halloween. Yeah.
I have a
It's so
friend.
good.
I have a friend who's their parents got married on Valentine's Day, but their father died now, so it's kind of rough. I imagine.
Oh, yeah. That sounds like a juxtaposition. You know, you got your marriage and then you got a family member going. That
Well,
must
no,
be hard.
that was their husband died. They got married
Oh,
on Valentine's Day. It was a friend of mine. It was their parents.
oh,
So their mom and dad got married on Valentine's Day, and then their dad died.
Mm.
If I ever get remarried, it's going to be on Halloween because, like, I want to wear a black dress and go full fucking Morticia.
We did it in a private home that was kind of large, and we forgot about the trick-or-treaters, and so the groom answered the door in a tux, and so all the kids in the neighborhood then thought that the neighbors, they had a butler. They spread that rumor like everywhere. It was the funniest thing because he kept answering the door, and giving out the candy. It was funny.
My grandfather was born on Halloween, so we always had a party on Halloween.
Well, my fiance and I had our wedding was scheduled to be on the 5th anniversary of when I drove out there to live with her. So we were just going to make our wedding day and our anniversary day the same thing.
Yeah. And with Halloween, what I used to do is I'd actually have two costumes. So I'd go out trick or treating. My grandfather lived in like the richer neighborhood, so they handed out really good stuff. So I'd go around and get all the stuff, change costumes, and go around again.
Big brain. That's 200 IQ big brain play right there.
Well, I lived in the Chicago suburbs, so it was a lot of walking, but I just covered a big area, and I just started from walking home from school, covering all the mile between school and my house, and then in the evening I went out in the other direction. So I generally filled up 2 pillowcases.
That's a lot of candy.
Well, you got to get enough to last you through until Christmas there. So
That's right.
It's
That's
true.
right.
It's true.
the
When
real
the
bitch is
Christmas-
after Easter, because then you've got that whole dry period that there aren't any candy holidays between
Easter and Halloween.
coming again.
Yep.
So we need a holiday in the middle of summer that you give out candy.
Yeah, let's
Or you
make
just
one.
be like
Candy
me
day.
and make your favorite candy bars. Like I'll make my own Reese's peanut butter cups. I'll make my own like almond joys and things like that. So you just
They're
make them
delicious.
yourself.
Yeah, and dark chocolate peanut butter cups, and you can make lots of stuff.
I've been liking
We
those.
could make candy a Juneteenth tradition.
Yeah, there you go.
Good.
We need to
Yeah.
start some Juneteenth traditions.
That's good.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's difficult for us to do it without it seeming like a cultural appropriations thing. So
No, let's
don't
pick a
worry about
fair
that.
month. Like nothing going on in August, right? Like, is anything going on in August?
no, August is pretty lame, but
Yeah.
Then why don't we just make like a fucking, international we need candy now bitches
Yeah.
day
There you
in
go.
No,
like July or August.
well, as
Like-
an adult, of course, the real holiday is like the day after Valentine's Day and the day after Halloween, when you can get all the candy at half price.
My parents, the first year they were together, they celebrated Valentine's Day on the day. Every year after that, they celebrated a day or two later so that they can get everything marked down because they're like, fuck it, not worth it.
Yeah, it is. It's just like going out on Valentine's Day can be so expensive. Everything's triple, and then all that pressure. I mean, I don't know about anyone else, but when I was dating before,
Yeah.
anytime you went out on Valentine's Day, your date was under so much pressure and not very happy about the money they spent or this and that. It got to be a thing. They're trying to show you a good thing, and then like there's no way you could show enough appreciation because they're like, this just cost me so much money. And it seems to be on the other half, at least my experience, it's too much pressure. It's too much this that they don't even enjoy it. So why bother? That's why I've been like, I don't want to participate.
I'm 36 years old, and I don't think I've ever had a date on Valentine's Day proper. I don't think I've ever gone out on Valentine's proper.
I had a wicked,
I've had
scary
them,
blind date. Don't ever take a blind date.
A couple days before or after, but I don't think that I've ever actually gone out on Valentine's Day proper.
But have you had a proper, like what they would consider, I don't want to say proper, but what society might consider, the advertising and Hallmark. Have you had a Hallmark holiday? Valentine's Day, where somebody went out of their way with the flowers and the heart, the chocolate, and like, oh, I adore you kind of day? Like over the top.
My ex-husband did that, but he was a gaslighting piece of shit. So,
See, Hallmark, this is my point. Hallmark promotes manipulation and gaslighting, and I really believe it for our own profit. And I'm going to stand on that hill. Yes. Mm-hmm.
You know what? I'll die on it with you, Claire. Move over. Let's build a fort.
Yeah.
School always had a Sadie Hawkins dance for Valentine's Day. And I know that the first year that I went, I think I was a sophomore. I wore, we went the whole 9 yards. I wore a pink dress that had a red cape to it. And I took him to a nice restaurant, and he got me chocolates and flowers, and I got him a flower. And yeah, we went the whole 9 yards that was one of my earliest dates.
Wow.
I usually like to do just something small. It's a small gift and eat in.
Mm-hmm.
Just have a kind of a small thing. It works.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm not a big one at eating out to begin with. I'm always kind of uncomfortable just eating in the public places.
Mm-hmm.
So, for the times when I've had a relationship that was really important, it was more making a special meal at home.
And Jer, I'm really sorry to hear that no one's ever gone out of their way for you, because you are special and you are cherished.
Yes.
If I ever get the opportunity, I'm gonna go out of my way for you. Like, I will come with flowers, and I will take you out to eat.
Yes. And they should. And on those terms, right, Inger, you value it and you value yourself. You want to go for that meal, you damn well take yourself and treat yourself well. That is the best revenge for anybody that thinks that you would be.
Yeah, that's nice to say, but it's really, really
tired. It's really hard. I know.
It gets really tired after about 30 or 40 years.
Well,
yes.
I mean,
I can
look
understand.
at it this way. I try to find happiness where I can. Like, I run on caffeine, curse words, and spite. Like, I don't seem like a spiteful person, but I am incredibly spiteful, because every day of happiness that I find for myself, I'm spiting, my pain. I'm spiting, the people that have fucked me over in the past. I'm spiting my ex. Like, I'm spiting all those fuckers, fighting my own happiness.
I never looked at it that way. I guess you could say I was spiteful too, if that's the definition, because I'm like, make them irrelevant and then just carry on and do my thing. I never thought of that as being spiteful, but I guess I am. I mean, I know I'm a stubborn
Spiteful is not always negative. Like, you can use spite to achieve positive goals, and I believe that I am. So,
look at that. Like, look at it. We could be twins if you were closer to Jersey and you knew my parents.
But I'm not originally from Florida. Like, where I was born is neighbors to you. I'm from Massachusetts. So.
Oh, okay. There you go. But I just want to say one thing. Godless Gummer, I'm all for the purge holiday. Yes, only if it involves overeating chocolate and too much red wine. Otherwise, no deal. Okay? Well, we could call it that in August. We could call it the purge, because it's going to have candy and red wine and celebratory, but not your way. I don't think that's what you meant.
No.
Yeah.
And Jeff says, not that I'm coming off as jaded at all.
No, not at all, Jeff. No, not at all. It's like you're like like many of us, Jeff. We got horror stories. Yeah.
Thor says, we got Fastlevan in February, where kids dress up and hit a wood barrel filled with candy or fruits with a baseball bat and do trick or treats in Halloween.
Yeah, like a piñata.
A piñata and Halloween together. That sounds like fun.
There's something very decadent about a piñata. You're going to get a sweet treat for beating the heck out of something. It just speaks to me in a very bizarre way.
Pinata's always stuck for the person who breaks it.
Well, yeah, but it's like the candy just falls down all over you. It's like raining sunshine, for the
Yeah,
kids.
but you're
Yeah, but you got the
blindfolded.
blindfold on
get
and
it.
all the good stuff is gone by the time you get off.
Oh, that's true. You see, we never blindfolded anybody to do it. We don't. I guess we play the wrong rules. I don't know.
Well, the rules is you knock everything off, and then unblind and told the person, then you can go and grab all the candy.
Ah, yeah.
So the car dealership that my brother-in-law works at, they started it for Halloween, but then they did it again right before Christmas, having a big like family days thing where they have like inflatable like slides and stuff like that for the kids. For Christmas they had an actual reindeer, and then there's like a train ride and stuff. All fun, but then they have a helicopter that comes in and drops candy from the sky into like a designated drop zone area for the kids to go run and grab.
Wow.
I am talking, guinea pigs. Thank you. Squeak.
As long as they don't drop it from high enough for the Jolly Ranchers to reach critical velocity.
No,
That's
and they
kind of
have
what
it
I was thinking
partitioned
too.
off.
That if the candy drop that from that high up could be definitely dangerous.
No, I mean the helicopter actually comes in pretty low, and
okay.
they have the area cordoned off, so the candy it does a few passes dropping the candy, then they remove the barricades and let the kids go trample each other for it.
Well,
Okay.
what is terminal velocity for a Snickers bar?
I mean, I thought
wow.
terminal velocity just was like terminal velocity. It's like 220 miles an hour, but for it to reach that, I think it would have to be much higher than 200 or so feet in the air.
I just want to make sure it's edible when it reaches the ground. That's it. That's my only concern there. It's a Snickers bar. I mean, come on.
God equals the square root of -1 asks, was there a reason they executed Saint Valentine? I didn't know.
Ill-fitting diapers and shooting people in the butt with that arrow would be one I think of.
That's stupid.
Yeah, St. Valentine's Day is actually the day that they beheaded him.
Isn't Cupid involved with St. Valentine's? Like when you go with the stories? Yeah, I don't know.
They executed St. Valentine's because they were put off greatly by his celebration of married people to the ignorance of all the people who are single and lonely and things, and not really caring about it and just pretending that they do.
Oh. Well, they might have had a point. Yeah.
Oh, that was a buzzkill, hey?
Well, not as much as the one I was going to bring up, because when I think of St. Valentine's, it's totally different. It's like,
Jer made her point, and I guarantee you she's not the only one in the chat who's had that experience.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, I guarantee it's no.
And unless you have had that experience in life, you really, really don't know what it's about. And you really shouldn't be making up these platitudes of things like, oh, there's someone for everyone. Oh, it'll happen someday for you. Because it doesn't.
Yeah.
No.
It just doesn't.
No. That's a very valid point. Very fair point. Is that when we speak to others that are going through all of that, the easy solution is not always the easiest solution. And sometimes they just need you to hear.
Yeah.
And not so much, not everybody's looking for advice or like, how you do it, just listen. That's mostly a connection level. The only thing I ever would say to anyone like that is about levels of connection on all ways. And if we celebrate the humanity in general, we just feel better in general. It doesn't replace anything, thankfully, not even thankfully, but just like regrettably, even in a way. That if you're missing a certain type of connection, nothing's going to replace that. And you would be foolish to try to tell someone it would. But connections on all levels have value and can fill in huge areas of your life greatly. And like Kitty said, silver linings. When we focus on those, sometimes the dark ones fade just a little bit, just a little tiny bit. It doesn't replace anything, I get it. But we all find ways to manage through that darkness and pain. because when it comes down to it, none of us are really alone, and all of us are every single day.
I know when I'm alone on Valentine's Day, it's pretty rough seeing as you got a reminder of it everywhere you look.
Yeah. Well, and another thing that, we have society's model of what a relationship is supposed to be, and that's not necessarily what everybody even wants. And things like Valentine's Day do kind of put pressure on people who just aren't really interested in being in a classic relationship. Because too often people around them are trying to play matchmaker or set them up with somebody, and it's like they just may not be interested. Of course, if you're polyamorous, you can also go broke on holidays like this.
Well,
I don't know. I think
Enter
people
says communication tool. Do you want me to 1, listen, 2, fix it, or 3, give advice?
this is it. Ask the question.
I need to start putting that disclaimer at the start of every conversation I enter. Because unfortunately, I get criticized a lot for being unfeeling. And it's just because if somebody doesn't stop and make me think about it, I'm assuming they want a solution.
So how many of us, just as curiosity, actually start our conversations when we're feeling like we need something with that premise 1, 2, or 3? I know I find myself doing it just because lately I just want to get what I need, and I've become old enough to say I'm entitled to certain things, and I'm not going to get them unless I say so. So I'll say, listen, partner, I just want you to hear me right now. Don't give me advice. I just need to be heard. Like, I'll premise a conversation that way, even with a friend, if that's what I'm seriously needing to vent or whatever, because it finds less time and it makes me less aggravated. Like, I'm doing it selfishly for myself, actually, But
I would love if everybody did that. I have never in my life encountered anyone who did it on a regular basis.
No, your friends don't. I mean, I guess I'm a weird friend then. I think some of my friends will say that they've heard me say that, especially if there's a little pushback or whatever, and they're telling me what to do, and I'm like, hey, that's all great, but right now I just want you to hear me, or I just want to yell, or can you help me with advice on this, or I want your opinion.
I make that mistake with Robin all the time. Robin will come to me with some kind of problem, and I'm trying to fix it, and I'm getting all worried because Robin's expressing some serious emotions, and then I'm calling and, are you okay? Are you okay? And Robin finds, chill, mom, I'm just venting. Yeah.
But that's hard as a parent, isn't it? We want to fix everything, and yet at the same time, we know the best thing to do is to let them do it, because we've raised them and grown, and they're grown, and we know they're good, and but we want to just automatically just wipe everything out and fix it.
And even though Sloth Girl and I have literally known each other all our lives, we still run into that more often than not. That when the conversation starts out, neither of us are thinking about it. So it's just a couple of paragraphs in when she has to stop me and say, no, don't try to fix it, just listen.
True.
You'd think after this many years, one of us would have learned to preface with that, but neither of us do it.
But I think everybody here we do build communities. Like, look at you all in the chat right now, whether you want to admit it or not, you're a community right now, right there. Right, all of us sitting up here, coming from different sides of YouTube, from different areas, with different interests, with different things that we cover, but yet it's a community. And I agree, those are the connections I'm talking about. That's why I changed the definition of Valentine's for me and the people around me, and to make my a partner's life easier too. I just hope I don't meet somebody that wants to be a gush and just do all that stuff, because they're gonna not like that with me. I get a lot of push like that. I would make fun of them. Actually, I would be like, "What, did Hallmark call you up and tell you to spend $1.50? What's wrong with you?"
Well,
I'm not very kind about it anymore. Just not.
One Valentine's Day with my late fiance, I tried to make her favorite dinner, and I had found these little muffin pans that were heart-shaped. So I figured, what the hell, and I got those. And it's like, somehow the little heart-shaped muffin, just like, she completely went to pieces. She said that no one had ever done anything that special for her. And she couldn't even bring herself to eat it. That the last of the muffins, we wound up putting in the freezer for a while, and eventually I wound up just, shellacking it and making a Christmas ornament.
Oh,
Because
that's cool.
she wanted to keep it forever.
She wanted to have her muffin and eat it too. And she did.
So I'm curious, Granny, do you buy, besides sending the cards, do you buy gifts for the kids for Valentine's Day? Or did you do it when Robin was young?
Yes. I sent a Harry and David gift box, gift tower to one to Robin and one to each of my kids, with enough food there for the grandkids. There were plenty of treats for both my kids and the grandkids.
That sounds good.
And then I kept looking at the thing that I sent to Robin, and I finally said to my husband, I want one of those too. And my husband said, well, go ahead, get yourself one. So I did, because it was a bunch of these almond cookies that have a strawberry jam filling, or raspberry jam filling. And they were in a wreath around a heart-shaped ganache-covered cheesecake. And Robin absolutely loves cheesecake, and Robin loves anything almond flavored cookies, almond flavor. If you watch that video where we make cookies together, after I put some almond in it, and I use an eyedropper to put in a few drops of almond, Robin goes, and when Granny's not looking, she dumps some more almond into the batter. I'm sorry.
I love almond.
Yeah.
I made a cheesecake once. It was the raspberry marbled swirl, and I made the crust too with graham cracker and pine nuts.
Ooh, sounds good.
My signature dessert is a Black Forest cake.
Oh, nice. I love
that.
I
That
love
is what I have used. When I've been dating a woman and I've wanted to impress her, that's what I've always made.
That would impress me.
If you bake me anything, I'm impressed. I'm a big baker and a cook in general. I like to cook to make people happy, which means you can't cook for yourself. I don't know about anybody else, but I do not make homemade meals for me. Now that I'm on my own, no. If my catering friends and family aren't having pity, I don't have homemade meals because I just can't bring myself to do it for myself.
I cook for myself.
When I'm alone all the time, I can barely bother to eat every day. I'm
right?
not going to bother to cook just for me.
Yeah, sometimes
I'm with you, Purple.
Well, okay, I've said it many times, and most people think it's a joke, but Sloth Girl's job is to make sure I don't go consecutive days without eating. And that's not a joke, because left on my own, I've been known to go 3 days straight without eating anything.
I'm the same way, actually. Like, I have to either remember or be reminded to eat. So,
unless it's something really enticing, and then I'll even have ice cream for dinner if that's what I feel like, because why not? But I have a symbiotic relationship like that with my friends and with others, that reminding each other to eat, because we're almost all of us is that way anymore. I eat mostly one meal a day. Try to anyway, at least one. But coffee, man, put an IV on me. I'm drinking this stuff like it's sustenance,
Instant human, just add coffee.
No, vampire comes and gets me. It's like fucking walking out of a Starbucks, man.
That's true. That's vampire is gonna be a star rocket. If he goes and tries to bite me,
they're gonna get a caffeine buzz for real.
Hey, hang on. What's this blood doing in my coffee stream?
Jenni, you're pretty
I have
quiet
never
today.
liked coffee.
You still there, Jenni?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay.
She tends to get talked over. We need to be more careful about that.
Right.
Yeah,
That's why
sorry.
wanted to make sure she got a chance to speak up too.
StreamYard needs to add a raise hand function so that the moderator can see who's waiting to talk.
Hmm.
That would be very good. We have that in Google. Like I really enjoy that.
Yeah.
But not so much in StreamYards. And plus, if you're coming from different areas, you get lag. Like when we're streaming from all over the world, sometimes the lag, like you don't hear it. That happens on our
Yeah.
Australian streams all the time.
Yeah.
We don't hear it, but the others in the chat and all do. You know.
Well, even between Jenny and I, we're even in the same state, and
Mhm.
she still often has a bit of a lag.
Mm.
It's to go back to the original question, Granny. It would just be better that I don't discuss anything in this topic.
Huh?
I'm sorry, Jenny. I was hoping that we could make you feel loved and accepted and
We did, yeah.
and feel like Valentine's Day is for you too. It's for everybody.
Yeah, and it's not. So, but thanks.
Well, but I'm sorry, Jenny, that you feel that way. But even in this context, just here with the 6 of us up here, why not? Like, I think we have more in common than not.
Well, like I said, most of my Valentine's Day have sucked. So
I think some of us up here could say they have too. I'm not going to sit here and tell you they've all been great. I'm anti-Valentine's for a reason. It's,
Well, I get where Jenny's coming from.
True.
Yeah, just.
Well, I'm sorry you feel that way.
I love you, Jenny.
It's one thing to say that, that you've had some that sucked. It's another thing to say that you've never really had a good one at all.
Exactly. And I recognize that. I do recognize that.
Well, in the good news department, I've seen where Minnesota is making itself into a transgender refuge state. And that is pretty doggone cool.
That is cool.
Well, the bill hasn't gotten through yet, but they're working on it. I tend to be confident that it's going to get through, but it's hard to tell.
It was a long struggle even to get it to a bill. So kudos.
I know the governor will sign it if it gets to him.
Yeah. Wow.
That's at least one savings grace.
Good.
So where is it right now?
Even with the refuge state, it helps some people, but they still wind up being a lot of people that just don't have any means to move.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I've just been flabbergasted over at the hatred that's just been pouring out and the sheer number of the anti-transgender bills. It's just overwhelming, and I'm not even a member of the community. I can't imagine how you feel.
Well, it's kind of a thrill to know that anywhere you could go, there could be some nutcase that's going to murder you in 5 minutes.
Fun.
Well, you guys on the panel, I know you know about this kind of stuff because we've talked many times. But for folks in the chat who are maybe new to us or to me in particular, or any of the other trans people around these parts, it's really dangerous for us right now. Okay, there was a 15-year-old girl who was stabbed and beaten to death in the UK last week, and the GC TERFs type people decided that they would use that as one of their gotcha points, and so they got on and started saying all these false platitudes about, oh, this is so sad, and you know damn well behind your back they are laughing and screaming and doing high fives over it. But then they come on and write all these bullshit tweets and stuff like that. And if anybody says anything about it, well, then they jump on you and use it as an attack point.
Yep.
It's just, so we're not only not allowed to exist, we're not even allowed to have our own opinions anymore.
It's really scummy. And really shitty. And I wish people could just accept the fact that You know, you don't have to agree with somebody's choices, but you shouldn't impede their right to make those choices for themselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It is.
It's like the pathologist testified at the Murdaugh trial today. You can have your opinion, but if you're wrong, you're just wrong.
Right.
It's just
Mhm.
false.
Yeah, opinions don't change truth or
Right.
facts or evidence. It's basically what she said. And I am not, I'm only on the fringe of that community just through people that I know. But legally, I do check into this kind of stuff because I'm fascinated and I followed the trials in the UK in what they were doing there in regards to treatments and things. And I also here in the United States have big issues with legislation and what's happening in the Supreme Court in regards to penalizing people for lifestyle through every part of our country. And it is affecting your community terribly and it's dangerous. It's dangerous to everyone that has a different lifestyle than what a certain small minority consider the right way. And
Yeah.
I don't mean to make that smaller what you're going through because what you're going through is absolutely horrific. It's just I see it with in a bigger thing that it's such a dangerous condition in our country right now for anyone like yourself who just wants to be left alone and live, and they got to go out of their way to be right and make you less than, and it's not right. It's not right at all.
I just saw the comment before. I'll expand on that. Right now is the time for all allies, all supporters, or people who say that they're supporters of LGBTQA, to stop living in the shadows and get yourself out and be vocal and write letters and go to demonstrations and to vote against the assholes and scream and yell, because this has become a question of life and death for us. And if you're truly an ally, you will understand that you have to act. You can't just sit back anymore.
Yeah.
And if you sit back, well, then you're not really an ally.
Exactly.
And I mean, sure, it's the trans community that's in the crosshairs right now, but, just, because you're not trans doesn't mean you might not end up in those crosshairs. I mean,
Well,
it's going to be the other queer people after the trans, it's going to be queer people, and then it's going to be, women's rights. They're already coming for women's rights, but
Right.
it's going to be women. Like, they really do want a very small cookie cutter. If you are not this, then you are invalid, and they want to take your right to be away.
The next effort will be for going after LGBT rights, particularly the marriage reform. Then they're actually going after things like they want women to lose the vote. They want people who are tattooed to be criminally prosecuted.
Really?
This is like,
Well, the Bible can't do that, so that's one of their things that they stand against.
Yeah, but there's so many Christians that have tattoos, and there's lots of Christian tattoos.
They're going to have to work that out now, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be like a little bit hypocritical there, but and it's not just Christian. It's a very small minority of a type of Christian belief too. I don't even want to say the name because it incites me to riot. Like I've been, I think Granny may have heard me speak on it, and some others too. I don't want to do that to your stream, just to say that it's definitely wrong and it needs to be looked at in perhaps talking about the way we communicate with others in the acceptance of microaggressions that lets this type of rhetoric breed is the biggest thing that we can do. If you don't feel comfortable at least speaking out or whatever, just don't allow your private conversations to allow certain things that you think are not right or wouldn't want publicly known. Just like it used to be women's lib with the kind of little tap on the ass from the boss and calling you sweetie and nobody saying anything because you didn't really get hurt, right? Well, yeah, we did. 50 years later, look what happened. Yeah, we did, because people thought that wasn't a big thing and it didn't lead to something. But what that happens, a small thing like that, and it's in no comparison to the threat that Jenni is under. That's life and death. I'm just talking about the microaggressions that breed it to get to these life and death situations is because we allow it. You allow somebody that where he's allowed to violate your space and nobody's allowed to say anything because it's too damn uncomfortable, and that breeds into other things. Somebody says that they can call Jenni a name in public, identify her, or ridicule her in some way, and that leads to the threats later and on, and it makes things acceptable and it makes things more tolerable to let these things breed out of control to where we are now in our country.
If I tried writing a letter to my governor, he'd probably thank me for the toilet paper.
First they came for the
one of the things
communists,
that
and I
really-
said nothing because I wasn't a communist, and on down the line until, and then they came for me, and there was nobody left to stand for me.
Exactly.
What were you going to say, Jenny?
One of the things that really bothers me about it is my generation was raised with a very strong value of respect your elders.
Mm-hmm.
And what really, really fucking gripes me about a large majority of these GC fucks is that I transitioned before most of them were even fucking born.
Mm-hmm.
And I absolutely resent them thinking that they know more about the science, about me, and about what is right and wrong for a given society than I do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It just absolutely pulls my chain harder than anything else.
Yeah, I got into an argument with someone the other day, and he was saying, all the ridiculous talking points, and I said, where is your medical degree that you know more than the AMA, the AAP, and the American Psychological Association as to what is good for the transgender community? And he says, well, I have many degrees. Yeah, right. You have many degrees in what? Sandbox?
Oh, okay. Show me the work.
Well, I
give me the
did,
studies.
show me a single study that supports your point. He did send me an article from one woman who she worked at a clinic where doctors were rubber stamping anyone who said they wanted to transition, and they were putting kids on puberty blockers, and some of them didn't really want to do that, and they were not being properly vetted. And I said, this is a clear case of a clinic not following the medical guidelines. And you will find crooked doctors out there. I mean, you'll find crooked doctors out there doing anything. Having worked in the insurance industry for so long, I knew if I got a medical report, there were certain doctors' names that when I saw that doctor's name, I knew this person never actually saw that doctor. That doctor was just paid to give an opinion that this person was injured.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'd be pointing out that wasn't a research paper. That was just an article of somebody doing malpractice.
Right, and that's what I pointed out. This is not a research paper. This is not a study. This is a single person telling you about one case of a clinic that is not following medical guidelines. This is not a reason to ban care for everyone.
Prudential
it's
in the discussion these days is critically important. All these states that have passed laws and are considering more laws. I mean, why do you think they need to have 300 freaking laws against trans people? I have no idea, but that's how many are up for vote nowadays in America. The people who stand there and say, oh, we got to ban them, blah, 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 are quoting sources of people who call themselves experts who have never seen a trans person, okay? Who are experts who's so high in their science that their office is in a little broken down strip mall next to a Pizza Hut. Okay, these people have no credibility whatsoever. They have no experience. They have never worked with a trans person in their life, but they're just saying these things because I have some kind of doctor I can put on my name, whether it's even about medicine. They had a dentist who was up there talking about trans and I'm a doctor, I'm a doctor. You're a fucking dentist. Give me a break. So anybody who's out there who gets into any kind of discussion, jump on these people with credibility. Their experts have zero credibility, and nothing they say is true. Nothing. Everything is a lie. Everything.
I mean, it's one of those things like there is a time and a place for opiate medications. There are some people that it's the only thing that works for them. I am one of those people. And yet because there were doctors that were overprescribing them, and it is an issue, and the opioid crisis is real. But because of the, bad apples, they are basically demonizing opiates and throwing out them entirely, where it is incredibly difficult to get a script for them, and you have to go through so many extra hoops of random drug screenings and pill counts. And I don't mind, because I take my meds as prescribed, but it doesn't change the fact of the matter that it's extra hurdles and barriers to the care that I need for me to be able to function, because there were some bad doctors that fucked up and did something inappropriate, and everybody who requires those medications to function has to pay the price for it. I mean, it's not the exact same, obviously, but same vein.
Well, and the reason they became such a problem in the first place was that the drug companies were incentivizing the doctors to prescribe them as often as possible.
Yes.
And that is not true of puberty blockers or hormone treatments.
Exactly. Like
Right.
it's like, I guarantee you there were way more pill mill doctors for opiates than there ever would be, someone writing hormone or puberty blocker scripts.
There still are. It's just now it's more limited to some states.
If you are ever in a discussion and anybody who's anti-trans says something along the lines of, well, they're mutilating children, that is the biggest lie on the planet. Nobody gives a surgery to children for transgender issues. Nobody.
Right.
It's not allowed.
No one gives them surgery,
by their own professional organizations.
Oh, so true. And they use that fear mongering in all of the issues. They just used it in the reversal of Roe versus Wade. They used late term abortion, which is like 1% of all, and almost always medical, not actually something somebody wants. They use that to terrorize Congress into people, just like they're using children's surgeries in trans, or they're going to use the that seeing LGBTQ people in a lower grade is going to turn to everybody gay. Like if you look at turtles or something. I don't.
How come the only time we don't hear that won't someone think of the children is after a school shooting?
Oh, because that's where they're making their money, because of course,
Well,
because
it's school shootings and also alcohol. Like they, because they passed a bunch of restrictions that make it harder to get the stuff for adults to have fruity flavors for their vapes. Because, I quit smoking over 10 years ago, and I still use nicotine, but a lot less. And it's not safe, but it is, safer. It's not as bad as inhaling smoke. But they want to institute more and more restrictions and bans on these for adults under the guise of think of the children. The fruity flavors are targeting kids. And it's like, no, I'm 36 years old and this is strawberry and pineapple and freaking peach. Like, I mean, it's a fruit medley mixed juice. And they're like, oh, think of the kids. But yet they never say that about the fact that you can get churro or birthday cake vodka. So it's like, why? Like, it's
rum cakes, just rum cakes that a kid could buy, and rum cakes that you can buy at the bakery, and you don't need ID.
They do the push on e-cigarettes because it's cutting into the tobacco industry.
Yeah, but big tobacco's bought into some of the bigger e-cigarette companies, so that shouldn't really be the issue. And they got rid of caffeinated cigarettes and they got rid of flavored cigarettes. So going after tobacco companies wasn't really, and it like tobacco is like the one area that they actually do, that whole thing to the kids thing.
Here's what figures that they'll tell you what to do, but they won't tell the person manufacturing that not to advertise to children. If the penalty was actually on the outcome of these people misusing profit and not caring where it comes from, it would stop. Okay, it's like we had this conversation. It kind of relates, but it doesn't. And I don't want to upset anybody, but we were talking about sex robots earlier. and it came up that you should be able to make sex robots of any age, whatever, and it would cure people of, problems. And I'm like, hell to the no. Nobody should be making a profit off of making an illegal act acceptable for anybody, and that money should be spent on therapy and not on a sex doll, period. And I was hard about it, but that's what I believe. If you went back to the companies, and it's hard in America because we're capitalists, but if you went back to the companies that are actually promoting illegal acts like selling cigarettes to children and alcohol, which they do promote ads that do that, and they do add campaigns that do that encourage, the infringing of it and make it cool. If that was limited, they could make their profit on adults where it belongs. They wouldn't get this pushback on people for it.
Well, but even where you've got, these decade-long suits that finally prove that the company did something wrong and they knew about it, all that winds up happening is the company gets fined $10,000, which is a fraction of the profit they made, and no one's really held responsible. None of the executives, nothing ever happens to them.
Exactly, because here in America, with capitalism is skewed. It's not true capitalism. It's like, if you got the money, we don't touch you because we need the money here. So let all the people who don't have the money pay all the price, and you do whatever the hell you want. It's just so warped.
It's predatory capitalism.
Speaking of huge capitalism, did anyone see the article of what the Pope sent in support of Turkey and Syria after the earthquakes?
No.
Nope.
He sent them his thoughts and prayers.
Wow, he could be a gun advocate here. That's great.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mm.
I just, every time I see stuff like that, I just shake my head. And then I saw an article the other day that the Catholic Church in, I think it was San Francisco, is about to declare bankruptcy because they've got to settle so many lawsuits for sexual abuse that it's going to bankrupt the diocese. And I'm thinking, the Catholic Church is wealthy beyond anyone's dreams.
That, Granny, that's a tactic they use to declare bankruptcy or threaten to declare bankruptcy so they don't have to pay.
Exactly. By making the separate each diocese a separate entity, they can declare bankruptcy and avoid liability. You're exactly right. It's just a tactic. This stream went kind of downhill, didn't it?
Oh yes. Wow. Kind of the state of everything,
So,
right?
I went and I actually got my nails done in, like, normally for Valentine's Day, I will go with like a darker theme, like think Good Charlotte's My Bloody Valentine. Like that's like the vibe I go with, but I actually went with a princess pink. It's like super sparkly and pretty.
Disney nails.
They are pretty.
Disney nails.
Yeah, I went with pretty princess nails this time for Valentine's Day. Last year, I think I had like bloody hearts and black. I went like full on, like, full on My Bloody Valentine.
Kitty, I found a necklace I want to buy. Real bad.
Oh.
Actually, I'm going to order it probably tomorrow because it's only $11-12. It's fake pearls. It's designed as a choker, a 3-strand or 4-strand choker, and then a bunch of the beads like right at the line of the choker, for just an inch or so near the carotid artery are red. I have red paint on them, and then
I love that.
Yeah,
clear,
I saw the
clear
pictures.
clear beads and things that come down from it, so it looks like it's actually actively bleeding. It
Oh,
is
wow.
just the coolest damn thing.
I saw the
My
picture you
bloody
posted on
rose over
Twitter.
here.
It goes with this pair of earrings that are like a big butcher's knife with blood in it.
I like. That sounds so cool.
Well, for Valentine's Day, I posted to Twitter, especially for Orla Twisted Fae, Tom Lear's I Hold Your Hand in Mine.
Oh, that's good. But we are allowed to sing that if anybody wants to. They give permission to everybody. And,
Yes.
But I've been playing around with that writing AI. I'm trying to get it to tell dad jokes. I still haven't quite got it yet. The jokes are coming out either mean-spirited or dirty.
That's
So
funny.
it's only telling stepdad jokes?
Yeah, it's telling only stepdad jokes. I'm trying. What I'm trying to do. It has this thing called a lore book where you can kind of load things up into it so it can reference. And I'm trying to load it up with a bunch of dad jokes into the lore book to give it something to work off of.
That's great. So I don't know if it'll pick it up, but MC Wrecker, like this particular one, I named this mod Morrigan because it's actually basically it looks kind of like a raven or a crow's wing. Like the part here, it's got like a color shift to it that's kind of like purple and black and blue. And
I'm only seeing dark blue here.
yeah, like in person you can see like the blackish purplish. It reminds me of a raven's wing, so I named this mod Morgan. Like the Morgan.
To be fair, that also falls in my colorblind range. I'm not good with shades of blue and green.
No, it's not. It's not coming through on the video. It's not you.
Yeah, I mean it's hard, you know, but like just take my word for it. It looks like a raven's wing in person, and so it's my Morgan.
Okay, I've got something funny to share. I saw this posted on Twitter the other day, and I thought it was absolutely hilarious. It says, always check your child's homework before they hand it in. It says, my daddy is a hero. My daddy is a hero because he saved my mom from going to heaven. My mom would be dead if my daddy didn't be so brave. It happened last week. I could hear my mom scream in the bedroom, "Oh God, I'm coming. Oh God, I'm coming." I was so scared. I don't want my mom to die. I ran into my parents' bedroom. Her legs were sticking straight up in the air. God tried to pull her up, but Daddy was on her and pushed her back and pushed so many times until God let her go. And the teacher writes, I have to talk to your parents.
Oh, that's pretty funny.
That's amazing.
I just
think I
wonder
pulled
if
a
that
muscle
really did
laughing.
happen. Yeah, I wonder if that really did happen. I don't know. I doubt it, but it's still funny.
No,
I've
that
seen
It's
other
worth
stuff
it.
like that.
Like my headcanon is it did happen because it's funnier that way.
Yeah. Would you say, Jenny?
Just the writing style and word choices. It's not real.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, although I did have the instance that one of our daughters walked in on us while we were doing things, so that was not a fun incident. And yes, she and her mother had quite a conversation after that. She was only like 6 or 7 at the time. It did teach her to always knock before coming into her room.
I mean, well, there's that at least. Yeah, I honestly, I never walked in on my parents. Like I don't know. I know I have friends that, you know, they would tell me horror stories, but like I never walked in on my parents having sex. So, I mean, there's that at least. Like,
I did on my parents, and I wondered for a couple of years. I was rather young. I was 8, 9, something, maybe 10, and I wondered for years on why was Daddy on his knees and Mom's legs wrapped around his head.
That one's hard to explain. Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
I don't know. Like, it's one of those things. Like, it's bound to or I shouldn't say it's bound to happen, but it is a possibility of happening as long as you have like an open and honest conversation about it afterwards. Like, I don't see it as that big of a deal, you know. I mean, it's just natural expression of like human like
affection.
Yeah, there you go. That was the word I was looking for.
It's a way of expressing affection that's for grown-ups only. Kids do not do this. This is for grown-ups only.
Thereby guaranteeing that they're going to try it.
The only time I went into my parents' bedroom as a small child, I went in because I was frightened by something, and my dad scared me so bad I never did that again.
Honestly, like It's
I'm curious.
crazy, like how different the world is when you're a child as opposed to an adult.
I remember going to sleeping with my parents when I was little. It was between the two of them, after having like a nightmare or something. I was just kind of sitting there awake and wondering, if my parents got divorced, which parent would I want to stay with?
Oh, for me, that was a hands down. There was no choice there.
Yeah, I mean,
There's not a chance
honestly,
I could do it with my father.
I would have stayed with my dad. Like, I mean, he wasn't perfect, and we've had our issues, but it wasn't until I was an adult that I actually had a decent relationship with my mother. So I would have chosen my dad, even with all of the baggage I have with my daddy issues.
Well, none of them were biologically my kids, but it did come up at one point that 3 of them wanted to go with me if we broke up.
Mm. Johnny says my ex's son would just burst into the room, right? Like Kramer.
Oh man,
Yeah, Jerry.
that could get awkward fast.
Yeah.
Well, we are getting close to the end of our time, so I'm going to let each of us talk about what we've got coming up and anything we want to shill for, and then we'll close it down. So, Purple, let's start with you. We know that you have a regular stream. Tell us about your stream.
Yeah. Well, I think the best way to sum mine up is that most channels you have the interview with someone and then you have the after party. Well, I just skip the interviews and we just have an after party.
I
That
like
sounds
that.
good.
So
Yeah.
every Wednesday at noon and Thursday at 10 p.m., it's Mage and Jenni Morgan and whoever else happens to pop into the room, and we just talk about whatever anyone has on their mind.
Okay, that sounds really good. And there is a link to Purple's channel in the description for anyone who's not already subbed to her. Jenni, what are you going to be up to in the coming weeks?
Well, I'm going to continue my sleep and TV studies.
Okay.
I'm thinking of going to Walmart and getting one of these universal remotes so I can try to memorize one of those.
Ah,
And
okay.
see what I can get with it.
Okay.
Other than that, I'll be on with Purple.
Okay, very good. Claire, I know what you're doing, but you can tell us
Yeah.
anyway.
Well, I'm going to be tomorrow morning again back in South Carolina via a feed, watching some lawyers do shenanigans. Yeah, and hopefully Granny and a couple of people come by and keep my sanity. There you go. That's it. Until it ends another week from now, I think. I didn't know it was going to be this long. I thought a couple of days, but I should have known better. Really
Yeah.
should have.
Is he guilty? Is he guilty?
Let's say it's very convoluted. I know too much. He's got like all this other stuff that doesn't relate. He's on trial for murder, but he's got like 100 financial and crimes against him with 18 indictments prior to that. He's just not a good person based on that, stealing from everybody. But it's tough. Because basically it's just like a dance in the courtroom between the prosecutors and the defense right now, and nobody's really putting their. It's very confusing because nobody's really on their game about it. It's just so much involved that I don't know how anybody can keep it straight. So
There was a lot of mishandling of the evidence, and that's
Yeah.
a major issue.
well-known family, right? And they didn't treat it like a crime scene, and everybody was walking over it. You go to a lawyer's house, there's 20 lawyers out there walking around the crime scene, before the other guys get there. It was rough.
Lawyers don't know anything about crime scenes. They know about how to present evidence in court, but they know nothing about preserving evidence and chain of custody and all that.
Yeah. But to answer your question, the popular opinion is that he is guilty, but they just don't have enough to convict him. He's probably going to get either a hung jury or reasonable doubt, because it's really hard to stitch together. But like Granny keeps reminding me, wait for the closing arguments. That's where they're going to paint the picture, and that could be their home run for the jury. We have to be patient, and I'm trying. I'm trying.
I don't think there's any question that he did it. I'm 100% convinced that he did it.
I have yet to see a poll that doesn't say he did it.
What tells me he's guilty is he's another one of those people who does the fake crying. You know,
Yeah.
oh, I'm crying, but there's no tears.
I thought the testimony from his deceased wife's sister
Today
was really damning today, because she said, we were all wondering who did it. What can we do to find the person who did it? And Alex was the one person that wasn't asking who did it.
right.
And
Because he knew who did
because
it.
he knew who did it. He did it.
She typed that in big letters in the chat
that-
too. Like she
that
said,
is-
because he knew. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
That's definitely a big
Okay.
tip off. Like, I don't even
big
know
tip.
what case you're talking about. I have kind of checked out from the news for like the last 2 weeks because I needed to like turn my brain off to current events.
It's the Murdaugh murders, you know, South Carolina in Culleton County Court. It's Alex Murdaugh.
He stole from basically everybody in town. He set up a fake bank account where he was stealing clients' money and saying he was putting it in structured settlements, and really he was putting it into a fake structured settlement account that was really his, and then he would draw the money out of it and use it for himself. And when all of this started coming to life, suddenly his wife and his son were shot and killed. And he claimed that he wasn't even there. He was visiting was it his mother or his father in the nursing home or in hospice? I forget which. But anyway, there's video of him at the murder site minutes before they died.
Yeah, so he crafted lies. He didn't know the video existed. Yeah.
The video was on his son's phone. His son had made this video just minutes before he died.
Oof. Yeah. Fucking let him rot. Like, I mean,
So right now we're all just paying attention to the evidence, you know, and trying to keep our cool, unbiased hats on. But then during the breaks, we all play a game of Clue, and we all get together, and everybody's giving their theories on it. And I've heard some good ones so far. Like
I love Clue.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, come play if you want, Kitty. You can look at the evidence. So there is a playlist, I'll tell you that. So if you want to get caught up, and I do go through the trouble of actually time stamping every witness. So if there's something you want to know about, you just got to go boom right there instead of like 8 hours of nonsense.
Oh, that's good.
Make it easier.
Well, you're really into this, Claire.
Yes. Yeah. Guilty, Jenny. Guilty as charged.
Like, if I show up, I'll just be there for the banter, you know, because
there's plenty of that, right, Granny? There's plenty of that going
plenty
on.
of that.
True crime is one of the biggest attractions on cable and streaming entertainment these days. It's just it's huge. People just can't get enough.
For years, I fell asleep to a Discovery ID, and it's
same. Like, my fucking insomniac ass was watching, like, you know, Deadly Women or fucking, you know, Monster I Married. You know, like,
that's how I started reading legal briefs. I thought, no offense, Granny, but I figured, hey, I'll get into it, but I'm gonna fall asleep, right? I mean, who's gonna read a 50-page legal brief and not, like, with you're not like a lawyer, go, you know, start yawning by the end? But it didn't work. It did the opposite.
Oh yeah, I find those fascinating. If I want to go to sleep, I read a physics textbook.
I'm going to try that. You know what? That's it. Somebody needs to send me geometry or physics or something like that. I'll do that instead. Well, yeah. But thank you for the opportunity, Granny. Because
sure, and there is a link to Claire's channel in the description as well.
Oh, speaking of true crime, though, right now on Humble Bundle, there is a true crime book bundle, and I think it's like $18 or something like that. And it's like 26 books, and it's different like true crime books where you get the PDFs, and the proceeds go to the like a legal defense fund, I think, for like exonerating people that are innocent. Like, I have to double check
the
which
Innocence
charity it
Project.
is, but that might be. I think that was it, but don't quote me on it. I know that, you know, with Humble Bundle, all of the proceeds that, you know, they make end up going to different charities, and they'll tell you what charity it is, like, when you go look at it. And I get stuff on there all the time, so I happened to notice that it was there, and I was like, oh, hey, you know, I might pick that up. And, you know, with Claire here, I have to mention it.
I do Humble Bundle. I did that. I did it for like Doctor Who and for some of these graphic novels and stuff like that. It's a great
So check it out now. Like, they've got a true crime one up right now.
I'm gonna.
Yeah,
Thanks.
it's up for the next 17 days if anybody wants to
Cool.
go for it.
Cool.
Kitty, is there anyone you want to shell for?
Well, I mean, go check out the lovely people here. Like I am just kind of like, I was doom spiraling too much, so I'm taking a little mini vacation, so to speak. So I used to watch the news daily and be reading a bunch of different news articles every day. I have not looked at the news in over 2 weeks, and I'm a lot happier for it, but I should probably get back to that soon. But I'm enjoying my little, vacation from reality. But I will be back on with Gigi very soon, though. So there's that. I'll let her tell you about that one, though.
Okay. Gosh, this is awful. Johnny says, speaking of orphans, my friend whose parents died did a 23andMe and found out her dad wasn't her biological father. She's met her bio dad and 2 half sisters now.
Wow.
Wow. That's quite a way of finding it out. Mage, what do you have coming up on your channel?
On my channel, Gardens Happen, I'm trying to work on doing a video series of garden tips. They're just short, like 1.5 to 3 minute videos, just kind of focusing in on one tip. So, say if you wanted to learn about one thing, you can go right to that video, give you a little short tutorial on what you want. I'm also looking at maybe doing some live streaming at some point pretty soon here. I haven't decided what good time to do it, or there's one thing I wanted to do during the live stream was there was this video I came across that was like fraudulent, and I wanted to kind of go over it. I was thinking maybe you're doing that.
Okay.
You're not gonna, on your live stream, you're not gonna like set up a camera and so that we can watch grass grow, are you?
Oh, there's a perfect idea. Great. Thanks for the idea. I'll get right on that.
I don't know. I would watch that actually. I don't know why we're all laughing. That's like
If
I would
I
watch
watch
that.
that, will it count as touching grass? Like I've had people tell me I need to go touch grass.
Me too.
sometime.
That's what I'm thinking. Maybe
So,
it's
like,
a twofer.
does it count?
Yeah.
Well, I do need to get the setup, but I am actually planning for. I don't know when I'm gonna get around to this. I'll need to get an extra camera and tripod and set up something where it won't be disturbed. But I want to do a sort of like a stop motion thing of a plant growing from not just planting the seed to the full plant.
Well,
That'd be cool.
Mage, you could kill 2 birds. Set up a camera on, say, like a radish, because they grow so fast. When it first sprouts with cotyledon, and just keep showing it, putting on stream for all day. You'll get all kinds of happy YouTube points, and somebody theoretically over the span of a day could actually see a plant grow.
Well, what I was actually thinking. What I was actually thinking about doing with it was just taking a picture of it every day around the same time and then compiling it. But, yeah.
Well, I'm playing on the idea that they did in Norway, where they put on a channel that all it did all day was show a fireplace, and it was a major hit.
Yeah.
Though I do know with YouTube, I think if the stream goes something longer than like 12 hours, it won't save it.
Well, the claim used to be that it was
55.
The claim used to be that it would have a problem after 8 hours, but Diane and I have disproven that because we've had streams that have run more than 9 hours.
It used to be, it used to be 8 hours. I think they went up to 12 now.
I've also looked for backgrounds for when I'm doing green screen, when I want something specific like an ocean or a park or something. And when I'm looking for something like that, some kind of a nature scene, I frequently am finding 10 and 12-hour videos. And I'm going, I just want 5 minutes. I don't want to have to download an entire 12-hour video to get 5 minutes of it. But I end up doing that a lot.
Mage, what I was thinking is that if you do that stream and save it, then you can always pull your individual frames out of that to make your time lapse.
Yeah.
And there is also a link to Mage's channel in the description, and there is a link to Kitty's Cash App and a link to Jenni's coffee if you would like to make a donation to either one of them for their efforts in the things that they do. Okay, and what I have coming up later this week, I was requested to do a response to Bobby's perspective, an Orthodox Christian who was reviewing Morgue, who was giving an argument for why he could prove that there was no God. And I actually ended up only doing half the video before I've got 8 pages of script now. I said, this is enough. Besides, I also reached a point where I really wanted to cut it off anyway. So I've got that coming up. Big thing I have coming up next week. Dr. Richard Carrier will be here. So be here with your questions for Dr. Richard Carrier on the historicity of Jesus. Kitty is going to help me host that, to help me manage the chat, because I will probably focus just on Dr. Carrier. And so Kitty's going to help me manage the chat. He only has 1 hour of time. That's all he's got. So we will let him be the focus for the first hour. And then when he's gone, we can talk about some of the comments that people had.
Talk about him behind his back.
He's an interesting one.
Mm-hmm. What did you
He's a
say,
really
Jenny?
nice guy.
Talk about him behind his back.
Yeah. And then beginning in March, I am going to switch my stream from Tuesday evenings to Saturday afternoons.
Oh.
I did one and I really liked it better, releasing the scripted video on a Tuesday and doing the stream on a Saturday afternoon. So I'm going to move to like 3:30 in the afternoon on Saturdays. And that will also make it more friendly to people in the UK as well. So that's what I have coming up.
People
Sounds
in the
great.
UK would not have these issues if they didn't get up so bloody early.
I mean, they kind of have to, they don't have a choice. The sun, sun's evil.
Yep, it is that. Okay, thank you so much, Mage and Kitty and Purple and Jenny and Claire. It has been an absolute pleasure being able to share Valentine's Day with you. And I extend all of my love to all of you and to all of you in the chat as well.
Oh, right back at you, Granny. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks
Live
for
your
having
life.
Bye all.
Later.